Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching Ghost in the Shell Sustainable War 2045 Season 2. Wow, is that a mouthful. Now, the first season of this series, which is the newest rendition of Ghost in the Shell, which is on Netflix, the first season came out in 2020 and certainly got a lot of, let's just call them mixed reviews for not only the CG animation, but also for the rather verbose storytelling of Posthumans, mixed with some of the ridiculous action scenes that happened to feel like they were in a completely different series than Ghost in the Shell. And this season is definitely one of those that, if you hated the first season, this won't change your mind at all. But personally, I felt like it actually fixed a few things and resolved a few things that the first season left on a cliffhanger. Well, let's get to the story, shall we? The Posthuman War basically kicks off right from the get-go this season. One of my main problems with the first season was that it took a really long time to get to the Posthuman plotline that takes over the majority of this season. Here, it starts from the word go, and we actually do get more justification as to certain cast members getting included here, such as Standard and Purin. Both of them were played more for comic relief in the first season, and honestly not even that funny comic relief when it comes down to it. So them being able to be played for drama and them gaining actual useful abilities to actually work well with the team did make them more worthwhile. Heck, Purin even has a few emotional moments that did hit me quite well, though that probably helps that they were paired with Bato, who's still one of my favorite characters of the Ghost of the Shell series. As far as the animation goes, it's technically on the same level as the first season, but it has less goofy moments. Like that backflipping naked man from the first season, he's no longer here. That's not to say that the animation doesn't have its janky moments, but they're fewer from what I could see this time around, even if the facial expressions could still be a little stiff. That being said, the action scenes done with the 3D models are pretty impressive. Clearly, Sola Digital Arts and Production IG still know how to play to their strengths with this style like they did with the Ultraman series. And honestly, the story they are telling is one that's a lot more meaningful and a lot better in its pacing than it was in the first season. That is until we get to the ending. I won't spoil the ending, but let's just say it's one of those overly complicated endings that feels like it's trying to explain everything right at the finishing line to let you know how everything happened. When really, not only does some of it not add up, a lot of it does feel like it's there mainly just to put the bad guy over as an ultimate genius, when really he just comes across as an edgelord who has to be proven that he's right. It's not the worst ending that I've seen in the series, but it certainly feels like it makes things way too complicated whenever a story that already feels like it overcomplicates things. Heck, I had an easier time figuring out the intricacies of Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, and that one had way better animation. So, like I said, not the worst ending I've seen, but definitely not one that justifies all the build-up throughout the season. That being said, the opening and ending themes of the season are pretty good, and heck, I even think that some of the outfits that our characters end up in the ending look way better in the 2D stills than they do in the 3D models in the show. And Togusa gets to wrap up his plotline that ended on a weird note in the first season as well. So, if you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, and if you could stand the first season, I think it's worth it to finish this one. But if you didn't like the first season, then there's really no reason to watch this one. For me personally, I'm glad I watched it. And I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, mainly for the improvements that it made to Season 1, even though I still think it's one of the lesser shows of the Ghost of the Shell series. See you next time.